Hello and welcome back to All Majority. I'm Shae.
And I'm Shannon.
And I'm Kalani.
We have our other lovely sister with us, and we are really happy to be here with you today. We are having one of those days that we're all physically together, celebrating a beautiful full moon in Aries, and so we thought we would come together and have a little chat.
Yes, and today, welcome to our channel. On our channel, we talk about spirituality, law of attraction, anything weird and wonderful in the universe. You can check us out on Instagram, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Okay, so today we're going to talk about authenticity.
Yeah, and so really what we were thinking about was just really the idea of what is an authentic life? What does that look like? What do we mean by that? What do people mean when they're like, I want to be authentic? So I just wanted to talk to you about, what does that mean? What do you think it means to be authentic? Let's start by maybe defining it a little bit.
Okay.
If I say, what is an authentic person? What is authenticity? What would you say? What would you guys say?
I would say a person living in their truth.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
doing what only feels good for them.
Yeah.
Truly my own self.
Yeah, truly just being them. Really
Yeah.
truly being yourself and not actually having parts of yourself hidden. And I know that's really hard to do. And I almost feel like, children are born and they're their authentic selves, and then we spend all this time conditioning and telling them what is and isn't okay. So part of our true authenticity, I think, is uncovering really all of that beneath us, beneath kind of all the facades that we put up. And we're doing it because we want to be liked. We're doing it because we want to be accepted. We're doing it because we think that that's what people want, probably. But
and we've probably gotten some type of reward.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Right.
So.
Feedback that.
Yeah.
If we do that,
then
people like us, or we get some type of positive reinforcement
For sure.
somewhere.
From somewhere. And I think sometimes it sticks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe how that happens and plays out as kids, it ends up sticking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I notice about authenticity is sometimes we get locked into a personality that we almost feel like's been chosen in a certain way. But is that really us? Is that really our true personalities, or is it just what we've created? And it's we've created it, so then we feel we gotta stick to it. It reminds me of this story. It was way back in high school. Over the summer, you don't see the kids or whatever.
Yeah.
So we get back to school, and this guy had utterly changed his style. And he had been one way before, and he completely changed the other way. And he really got bullied. People didn't want to accept it.
The change,
And he was trying to be better. And actually what he'd gone from was more grungier, kind of rustier, honestly, to trying to be preppy, because it was back then when that was a thing. So he was the really nice clothes and it was he really struggled. Really, really struggled because he had created a certain personality, an image that people had known of him. And so when he tried to present something else, it just people were rejecting him.
Whoa, that's
Right.
Humans don't change.
They don't.
Either.
No. We don't. We like to lock people into certain things. So when they're doing something or saying something or wearing something or whatever that is different, then we make them feel weird about it. And I don't think this helps our authenticity problem as far as people being authentic. Because isn't that what we say? We want authentic people around us.
Yeah. We say that.
We want to be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
So what actually, if we know that, and we're sitting here going, yep, I should be able to be my weird, self as much as I want. I should be able to do and be and say, and who cares, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what stops us from that? Just going for it and being ourselves.
A fear of rejection, fear that you won't be accepted, fear that...
I think that's probably the top fear of rejection. Fear of some type of rejection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, this is so true. As I've aged, I've known this to be true, okay? If you try to change yourself to fit in with a group, you have to change yourself dramatically. That's not your group.
Yeah.
You should find your group where you don't have to change yourself. And you can just be you. And I think everybody's had that experience where you get around your group of friends that you know and you just become you.
Yeah.
And they know you and you just become you. Interestingly, that same group of friends is the one that won't let you change. They don't want you to change. That same group doesn't. But it's like, that's part of the beauty of like, you know, the human interaction is like allowing each other to expand or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I think when we think about authenticity and kind of what really hinders it, it's really us.
Yeah.
It's us. Because I sort of feel like all those fear of rejection and it's like that fear of loss, that's a legitimate thing that we have. But it's so much of it's like projected and created.
Oh yeah.
Just by fears and like you were saying, like limiting beliefs and like I can't do or be or whatever. So if we know then that we as humans have a hard time being authentic, then let's talk about how to actually pull it off. How do you pull it off? How do you do it?
Well, I think a huge part about being authentic is realizing that change is a part of it. Change is the only constant and that you are allowed to change. I think just coming to that awareness and to that state of being is the first step in allowing authenticity to shine.
Yeah, like allowing your own self to change.
Yep. And allowing others to change too, right? Because that's everything that you were saying too. It's like not only allowing yourself to change, but allowing the people that you love to change and still accepting them for exactly whatever they are in the moment.
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking about on this topic was the whole idea of, we've talked about being impeccable with your word before.
Yeah.
And like how really important it is that what you say and words matter, all of that. So when we're talking about being authentic, doesn't that also tie into being honest?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, hand in hand.
I mean, it does, right?
Yeah.
So like, if we're not authentic, I think some of it is we tell people what they want to hear a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's like if I'm telling you just what you want to hear, why am I doing that? I'm doing it because it's easier.
Right. Yeah.
Is that why?
Yeah. Most times that's what happens to me. It's easier to say that to the person because that's what they want to hear.
Yeah. It's like a little bit easier to deal with.
Right.
So
people often will not hurt your long-term feelings, or no, I have that backwards.
Yeah.
Like, don't hurt my short-term feelings. Don't sacrifice. Crap, I have to think about it.
No, you're saying it right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I'm trying to think of, like,
Yeah.
don't sacrifice my long-term feelings for my short-term feelings,
That's it.
or my short-term feelings for my long-term feelings. Because we feel like if we tell people what they want to hear in the moment, like, okay, this moment is easier and that's it. And then we don't have to...
But then in the long run, then you're having to continue on with that thing that you did that wasn't so authentic. And every time you see that and then every time you see that person, that's the hamster wheel of being unauthentic.
Yes.
For real.
You get stuck on it.
Yep, you do. You absolutely do.
And I feel like this is completely tied to your happiness.
Yeah.
Totally. Because, like, everybody knows how awful it feels to have to fake it.
Yeah.
To, like, have to fake the friendship, to have to fake nice, to have to fake anything, really.
Yeah.
So, really, I don't think we can really truly be happy until we get to that authentic person inside. Because also it goes to the self-acceptance, because I think that's the other thing that happens with authenticity a little bit is, what if I don't like myself or, like, a part of me, then I'm going to do something to hide it or squish it or change it or, like, and so, like, I haven't accepted that about me. So, therefore, I'm going to make up a whole different thing. So, how can I really be happy if I haven't accepted all the parts of myself?
Right.
Good, bad, and ugly. You know, it's like we talk about integrating the shadow side. The shadow being, like, all of those things that make us uncomfortable that we think and say and do.
Yeah.
Right? It's like we want to be good people, and we are, okay? But everybody has the thought. The random awful thought, like the random
intrusive thoughts,
thought, right? Or like just even like maybe you've done something in life that you just don't feel great about. And I think a lot of times the things that have been done that you don't feel great about is like maybe on the level of I didn't say no to something. Is maybe one way that I like crush my own authenticity is like. Is like the yes. Like, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to do it even though I don't want to. I don't like this, but I'm going to do it anyway because I don't want to hurt the person's feelings or I don't want to cause controversy. It's easier than sticking up for myself and saying I don't like it than to just go ahead and do it. So my thought is if you have an entire life strung together of those things that you're just doing for other people, you're just fulfilling other people's wants or needs or whatever, that's like a recipe for a completely inauthentic, miserable life.
Yes, and something that they do in AA, I don't know if you know this, but part of one of the steps, right, is to say no. You're not allowed to say yes to anything. You have to say no to everything in your path. I can't do anything for anybody. The answer has to be no for, they do it for a period of time, and obviously it's up to the person whether or not they follow through with that. But it's for that same reason, because how often do we say yes just for somebody else when really it's not our authentic yes. You can feel when it's a yes in your body compared to the yes that's coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, you definitely know inside you when you're not being authentic, when you're not being real. You definitely know. Okay, so if we know inside us, what is your cues? You guys, tell me, what is your cues to know when somebody is being fake with you? How do you know?
Ooh.
Body language.
Okay, eye contact. I feel like, like if you're talking to me. And
right, because I feel like you have a job where you are talking and assessing that kind of on a regular occasion.
Yes.
So, like, how do you know somebody's not being truthful to you?
Definitely I look at eye contact, number one. Like, if you're, like, we're looking at each other, but if you're kind of looking over here, or like Shae said, body language, if you're kind of fidgety then something about what you're saying you're uncomfortable with already. Like, I do a lot of job interviews, but I don't really ask a lot of questions about skills. I mean, maybe 5 or 10%. Yeah. But most of it is like, how are you talking to me? Yeah, like, who are you as a person? Are you looking at me? Are you fidgeting? Are you, like, trying to leave? Are you,
Yeah. When there's too many details, sometimes I feel like that's not being authentic. When somebody like runs on about something.
You taught me that when I was really little. Like, be careful when people are telling you things, if they're giving you
too much information. Yeah, if like all this added details is in there that you didn't even need to know. Right. Like, why are you making this whole extra thing?
Yes.
I went to the store and I came home. I went to the store and I stopped over here and I saw that, like,
that's too much. Just to verify, just to lay, like, you thought through your plan, like, you gotta say all the things. Yeah. Right. That's like a dead giveaway, is when you come up with an excuse. Yeah. So, I agree with that. So, definitely body language. Yeah. For sure, body language. But some people are real damn good, you guys.
Some people are good.
Some people
are
good at their fakery.
And that will get into, we were talking about this yesterday, the people who are pathological. Yeah. Right? And just that
they believe their own.
They believe their own lie. Yeah. And what did you say yesterday? It's like, if they think that's the truth, that's all they see. And if you don't know that it's not true, then it's true.
To them. Because they're like, they think you think it's true, so therefore they're operating as if it is. Right. And so in their mind it's true. And even if it's not even true, not even slightly true, they think you think it's true. So they hold you accountable to that fakeness. Right. So,
and you know what? We probably all know somebody pathological. Doesn't mean that they don't deserve love. They do.
Seriously. And we've probably all been pathological at times, honestly.
Right. And that comes back to integrating your shadow, right? You said yesterday as well, like, just asking yourself, what are the things that I'm pathological about, that I'm unconsciously lying to myself about, or that I'm projecting as the truth, even though it might not be the truth. Journal about that, Think on that for a minute.
That's a really, like,
that's a deep
inner conversation you have to have with yourself.
Yeah, for sure. But just know that the people who are pathological, what do you do? What do you do if you love somebody who's pathological?
Well, I think first of all, you know it.
Well, and I just want to say, like, non-attachment is so important to anybody in your life, right? As soon as you become attached, that's where suffering begins, as the Buddha says. So maybe just staying unattached to their pathology. It's not you that's making them pathological. It's not you. It's them choosing to be that way. And so just detaching yourself a bit from it would probably be a good way to start with that.
I'm always saying, like, control what you can control. And let go of what you can't. So you can't control if somebody's going to be pathologically lying to you. You can control your reaction to it. And I feel like it's one of those things where, not to quote scripture here, but by their fruits you shall know them. Okay? Right. Like, that's a thing. That's such a true statement because, like, I feel like sometimes Our non-authentic people project out an image they think that we're all buying, but we're actually not.
Well, we see it.
So there's the whole
thing on. You can't hide it.
You can't.
Yeah.
So
maybe for a little bit of a period of
yes.
time, like, okay, I'm just meeting you, knowing you.
Yeah.
But you always, everyone always sees and knows. Yeah.
It's so true. It's like, don't listen to what people say. Listen to look at what they do.
Watch what they do. Actions.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like what kids do. Honestly, that's how kids like grab their parents in hypocrisy or like point it out because all they're doing is watching us.
Yeah.
You could say something, but they were the first ones that'll be like, "Mommy, you said last Thursday," or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, right? Like, so for sure, part of authenticity is being self-aware.
Well, yes, and I think that a lot of times, like when we're interacting with people, we don't take a second to absorb what they're saying. So maybe just taking a second to tap into your intuition. I mean, remember during the heart chakra episode, or one of the episodes, when we talk about how to tap into the heart space. Yeah. It's like if you're questioning someone's authenticity, okay, there's your first sign that maybe they're not being authentic. But then just tap into your body and ask yourself how it feels, whatever they said, whatever their action was, whatever. And ask yourself, connect to your higher self for a minute and ask for guidance on if this is authentic or not.
Yeah. And what if it isn't?
Right.
What do we do with that? Do you guys confront the inauthentic person?
I think it depends. I think it honestly depends on my relationship. Probably not.
You think they'll admit it?
People don't like humans don't like to be confronted about their something that they know deeply to be true, but that they're presenting as the opposite.
You've had to fire people.
Yeah, humans don't like it. They don't like to be told that they're wrong or they did something. A lot of people's automatic reaction is to lie, and whenever you confront them with the proof of why you know what you know. They don't like it. Then people will like gaslight you that you didn't see that or you don't really know that.
It's so true. You know, I almost fired somebody a couple weeks ago, and the reason I didn't is because when I confronted them, they fully admitted it. They fully owned it, and they're like, "Yeah, I messed up."
I've had that, and every time I go to like counsel or you know, I don't try to go into things that I'm going to fire somebody. Sometimes it depends on what it is.
Sure.
But if they do that, if they say like, "Okay, I totally own it. This is what I did." Then I'm most of the time give them some sort of second shot. You know,
I mean, unless it was like they egregiously stole something.
Well, and I do think that's important. I think that everybody does deserve a second chance. Right, because sometimes we move inauthentically just based on the energy that's around us. You know, but that's where it is so dependent. If you go to the person and they do admit it, well, okay, at least they're not a liar. You know, it takes a lot of guts to admit that you did something wrong or did something inauthentic, especially when it's like in a workplace setting. Right. You know?
Yeah. Self-awareness is the hardest awareness. And a lot of people don't have other authentic people in their lives.
True.
Because you surround yourself with people like you. So if you don't have also authentic people, then somebody in your life is probably not confronting you like, hey, you're actually not living in your truth or you're not being authentic to yourself.
Right. Yeah, that's
true. So that's probably harder because then people will get stuck in that cycle because they don't have you guys, mom and sister.
Yeah. Well, authenticity is contagious.
Yeah.
I've seen that like my whole life just by being weird. It's like every time I'm openly weird, the people around me start being weird, and I love that. I love it. It's like your authenticity gives other people permission to be authentic in whatever way that is.
It radiates. It's like an energy in the air because you give an energy in the air that is like, I'm free to be. Yeah. Whatever that means for me.
You always have been. She's always been that way. She literally has always been that way. And in a way, I feel like you're slightly my social experiment because I said to myself as a mom, like, who cares? Why? Yes. So what if she wants to go out in a bike helmet and a tutu and rain boots? Like,
I used to get so upset as her older sister because we have buddies, right? There's a bunch. There's 6 of us. There's 7 of us actually, but the 6 of us, we have buddies, and Shae would be my buddy all the time, and I would be like, Mom, I do not want her to wear one rain boot, one sandal, a helmet. She wore a helmet for weeks at one point.
Random Halloween costume.
But you know what? Like,
doing what felt good, baby.
Honestly, like if you ask me what is my favorite thing about Shae, it is literally that. Like, and I could cry thinking about it, just because she's always been that way. Always.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
And
it's my favorite too.
I
didn't appreciate it as much when I was younger, but...
Well, it's like
there's times,
such a good example of authenticity to me.
But you know what? There are times I slip up. Like, right, I don't shave my armpits. And then I was a part of a wedding this summer, and I felt the social pressure. I shaved my armpits because I was wearing a dress that my armpits were exposed. So we all have our moments, you know. And like, what, my armpit they grew back, and I haven't shaved them since. So it's like, it's whatever, it's fine. Give yourself grace too. Sometimes it's like, feel the energy, and right, it doesn't mean that I was being like lying to myself, lying to others, whatever. It's just what actually felt good in the moment.
I was gonna say, like, do what you felt good. For the most part, it feels good to not. Yeah. But in that situation, that doesn't mean you're not authentic.
I said the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
Which everyone that knows me knows I do not say the Pledge of Allegiance because it's like crazy indoctrination, and I'm not okay with it.
It's another episode.
That's a whole different episode, okay? So I was at a because I'm a veterans, right? So I went to a Veteran Day, like, ceremony thing at my kid's school, and I wanted to sit up front and represent women, of course. And then everyone stood up and started saying the pledge, and I was like facing an entire auditorium of children. And so, like,
you were like, I need to.
I mumbled it.
Yeah,
I was dying. I was like, oh man.
So I mean, all these examples are such they're examples of like that fine line of like what feels good and like what is authentically.
Because we have to, like, live with each other, so, like, social pressure is a thing, and, like, fitting in, and, like, all of that.
To a certain extent,
To a certain extent, we have to somewhat conform. And I get it, we're sheep, and we hate it. I hate that we're sheep sometimes, okay? There's, like, all these social science studies that they do about how we're, like, literally just followers, and I hate that, but at the same time, sometimes you literally have to fit in.
Yeah.
And there's got to be some sociology on that, some type of research that, like, for groups or whatever, groups to thrive, there has to be a certain amount of you, like, to be in the in-group, you have to be a certain
Oh my gosh, okay, well, I have a psychology bachelor's degree, and so my final project of my whole psychology career, I did a study on the black sheep of group.
Yeah, tell us about that.
And, the group doesn't like the black sheep of the group, right? But the outsiders looking in on the group tend to like the black sheep.
That's interesting. Okay, so say that again. So you'd say the inside group doesn't like the black sheep.
Yes.
But then the outsiders, when they look at the group,
yes,
they see the black sheep as a good thing.
Yeah. Oftentimes. And obviously it depends on the situation.
The nonconformist.
Yes. And my study, I was looking at the black sheep of a classroom, so the person who, like, raises their hand a lot, talks a lot, class pet type of thing, right? And the whole rest of the class frowned upon that person, right? But the outsider, the teacher, obviously likes it.
Yeah. Interesting, I bet you we can come up with other examples of that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, there's a whole bunch of literature on it. I did a literature study, and this was, like, years ago, so I couldn't regurgitate everything that I read during that time, but there's a lot of psychology on the black sheeps of a group.
Interesting. So, do we have to be, are we more authentic or less authentic when we're the black sheep? Are we being more authentic? Because we're just, like, not going along with everybody?
Not conforming. Right.
I'm, like, trying to think through that, right? Like,
I know.
Could there be an experience where conforming was the black sheep behavior?
Oh, I'm sure, because it all depends on the in-group. It all depends on whatever it is you're comparing it to. Yeah. Right?
True.
But
in a way, it's like the weird thing where how we always other ourselves.
Yeah.
And others. Meaning, we think we're separate.
Yeah.
When we're all the same.
Yeah.
Or whatever, we're all the same source or whatever. So there is, like, sort of that bigger, wider thing that our minds can't really quite grasp.
But there really is no separation.
We feel pretty separate. I feel pretty separate. But, like, at the same time, because energy is everything and we're so connected to each other and just everything, I feel like it's super easy to vibe with the group and to, like, fit, to, like, conform.
Right.
It's super easy to conform.
It is. It is. I was
socially easier.
Yeah.
Socially easier because I'm the person. I am the irritating hand raiser.
Me too.
Right.
I must get it from you.
But I have gone into situations saying to myself, I'm just going to listen. And I'm not going to raise my hand or ask a question in this class.
Yeah.
Other times I'll go in there and I'll be like, trying to think of a question instantly.
Yeah.
Like, what question can I ask?
Right.
Okay, I need a question. So,
but there's also some
what's the
situations
difference, I wonder?
that you'll be being your self, authentic self, while hiding parts of your authentic self. You know, like, have you ever been in a social situation where you are totally 100% being yourself, you're just not being, like, super forward with it, I guess? Like, just in conversation, you are saying how you think and feel, but you're not taking it that extra step of, like, I'm a super weirdo who has 5 crystals in my pocket right now. You know what I mean? I've been that, where, like, I'm at a dinner with people and I have a bunch of crystals in my pocket and we're talking about things that we like and believe in, and I don't bring up that I have them in my pocket, because some people are like,
and you're like, I see dead people.
Right.
I talk to dead people all the time. Yeah, you're totally
I have a crazy good intuition. I'm not going to tell that, but I am totally being myself. So
and there's something to being just humble in general and not feeling the need to flaunt, right? That's a whole different pathology.
True.
Yeah, that is true.
True, because then there we're talking about ego now.
Right.
Yeah. And, like, our egos really like to be pumped up, and our egos like it. So, like, I feel like sometimes we, like, those facades, those characters that we play, we, like, bump that up because we're getting attention and energy a little bit.
Yeah.
So, that too, does that block our authenticity? Maybe. It depends, because what if we're getting reinforcement about being authentic?
It's so funny because, like, in psychology, one of the main things I learned was, like, it depends. Yeah. It's never just, this is what it is. It's dependent on the situation, on the environment, on the people you're with, everything. If you slept well that night, what'd you eat? You know, like, how's your body feel right now? Are you being authentic or are you gassy? You know? Like, there's so many factors to being authentic, but I think that the most important piece is just speaking your truth in the moment.
Good.
Yeah.
Acceptance.
As long as you're feeling good and at peace, like, internally, too, because you know how you feel when you don't.
Yeah.
So I guess that's probably it.
Yeah.
You can be in those situations because everybody has to be, everybody does. Right. But as long as you're still being internally true to yourself, I guess.
I don't want people to think that, like, holding back something or, like, not being forward is being inauthentic, because I don't think that's it. I think that you do have to self-preserve sometimes, especially in social situations, especially if you're with people who aren't, you know, your safe group or whatever. You know, self-preservation is important just for in human beings in general. So don't think that that's being inauthentic. Right. But it's just, at the end of the day, being super clear with your inner voice. Right, and just knowing that in each situation you're just doing the best that you can, you know? I think that's
which circles back to, like, self-love, the whole self-love one, right?
Yes.
And all things circle back to self-love.
I feel like, too, because if you don't love yourself, you have a really hard time being authentic. Right, nobody else will love that either. I don't like me, so nobody else will, so I gotta make up a different whole being.
Yeah,
so true. That leads into a whole nother.
Oh man, it's sad when people can't be themselves. And, like, we've heard story after story of, like, people, like, later in life finally being able to come out of their shell.
And how good it feels.
And just how good it feels, and, like, how liberating it is. So if we could all just, like, get to that where we could just accept each other, that would be great. But, like, again,
well, I think it comes down to accepting change. Accepting change is the only constant, and allowing for the change to come with an open mind, open heart, open soul. Because it's when we block that off, that's when people feel like they have to, you know, that's when the authenticity gets blocked too.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So I want to bring up something that we sort of were feeling not inauthentic about, but sometimes things just change, and, like, the energy changes and things, like the frequency and all of that. So we actually been calling ourselves Alt Majority for, I don't know, like, how long we've been doing this now?
I don't know.
When did we start? April?
6 months?
Yeah. 6, whatever it is. Okay, so as we're just, like, feeling into the name and really just starting to get into really our podcast and, like, where we want this to go, we really were feeling a name change coming.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we felt we wanted to do to feel and sound more authentic was to change our name to something that resonated a little bit more. And this was a name that you, Shae, came up with before we even started this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like a new
this has been sitting with us.
It's been sitting with us, but we just sort of held the podcast out as a whole different, separate kind of like thing we were doing.
Yeah.
But I think so. This is really part of like pulling that back in.
Yeah.
To sort of the bigger picture of what we want to accomplish.
Yeah.
Right. So just spiritually and like with the community and like with the earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So therefore, we're going to be changing our name, and we will be
Terraflow Collective.
Yeah, Terraflow Collective, which I feel like does feel really good. Does feel really authentic. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so
name.
Terra means earth, and flow is obviously flow, and we really believe, at least I do, that I'm a light worker, come to earth to help people get into their earthly flow. And so this has been something that's been on our mind for, it was my partner and I who came up with Terraflow. It wasn't just me on my own. But it's been sitting on my heart for a while now, and like she said, kind of just reeling it back and realizing that is our mission with the podcast and with giving our information, our thoughts, our opinions, our hearts to listeners. And so, that's what resonates. That's what feels good.
That's it. So whatever little side projects or side little channels we have or whatever, it's part of this bigger collective, this bigger mission that we just feel we have. Not only to transform ourselves, but just the people around us. And so we just sort of feel called, honestly, to do it and to just try to project out and reflect out, basically, the energy of the earth, the energy of flow, like Shae said. So I feel good about that. And I do feel like what you said earlier about change being like the constant. That's one of the things and ways we can stay more authentic is being willing to change, because we're never going to who wants to stay the same and stay stuck into one way of being, one way of thinking, or, you know what I mean? That doesn't feel good. So I think it's important to be able to change it up when it's time.
Yeah, and I hope this gives you permission, not that you need it from us, but to change anything, something, nothing, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is, because at the end of the day, don't we just want to be happy and joyful and peaceful?
And if you're not, change something up.
Right.
Yeah.
The smallest of things can make the biggest of differences.
You can change. You definitely can. You don't have to be stuck into a persona that you're feeling now you've outgrown. You don't have to be stuck into whatever personality trait that you don't want anymore. Do you know what I mean? And you can change it.
Yes, and just trust that it will vibrate exactly who and what is supposed to be in your life into your life just by making the change.
Yeah.
You know, it can be scary, right? Because it can feel like what you've known is going to be no longer. But if you can change that fear into excitement, into wonder, that can be pivotal and just like continuing to quantum leap and to expand your soul, your mind, your heart.
Right, because I don't think we can keep progressing unless we're willing to change. And really, we definitely can't be authentic without being willing to go with all the changes that just naturally happen. We said this before, our soul leans toward growth.
Right, and just like our souls shed bodies, like we shed every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day a change can occur. So just tapping into yourself and asking yourself what changes need to be made is a great way to start to recognize what it is needs to be different in your life.
Yeah, so I'm just going to throw in a little astrology right now because we're having a full moon tonight. Full moon in Aries is conjunct Chiron, which is really our wounded healer. So right now we're all having some light shown upon that part of our life, like some childhood wounds, some traumas, all of that might be coming up. So this is your opportunity to let those things surface. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? The things are surfacing because they're trying to get out. Yeah. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to let those things surface up. Don't be afraid to let those authentic feelings and thoughts come on up out of you, because that's how you get to growth, is by not stopping it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is just let don't hang on so tight to anything.
Yeah.
Just know everything is changeable. And I know sometimes it's a scary thought. Anything could be gone. You know what I mean? It's the whole, like, I could get run over by a bus, right? Like, I could be gone.
Seriously.
Like, anything in my life, anything and everything in my life could be gone. So sometimes what I like to do is just, like, lift it all up to the universe and be like, you know what? Give me the things I need. Yeah. And I don't like to lose things. Who does?
Right.
But at the same time, sometimes I need to lose something to get what is coming.
Yeah.
You know?
Part of a greater, bigger picture.
Yeah.
That we don't know yet.
That we don't know
yet. You have to
yet.
create space for allowing what it is next that's coming.
Right.
You know, you can't receive when you have so much you're holding on to.
Yeah.
That's that whole, like, everything is for me right now.
Yep.
Yes. Everything in my life is for me. Every single thing in my life is for me. And if I can keep saying that and keep knowing that, I feel like it helps me stay on the track of authenticity too. The more I just, like, acknowledge all parts of me.
So, here's your invitation for the next week to work on your authenticity. Do something out of your comfort zone and see how it feels, you know? The person that you've been wanting to dive deeper into conversation with, or the person that you've been wanting to talk to that you haven't talked to, or a book you've been wanting to read but you don't know anybody else who's reading it, or, you know, try something new.
Something you wanted to try.
It's a class you wanted to try, but you would like to be the new person in class.
Yeah. Try it out. See how it feels, you know? And just tap into that intuition and asking yourself if that's really what it is you want, and then do it.
And then if you don't like it, you're
don't
not
do it
forced
again.
to continue.
Exactly.
Right? You can move in whatever way that is. Move there, back, side.
You know, one of my favorite things about meeting new people is that I have the opportunity to have, like, this new relationship with somebody where I have the opportunity to be only my authentic self. That's how I see every new relationship in my life, is like, okay, now I don't have any of these ties that have already been created from my past. I am able to just, like, come in with a fresh start. So that is just... a little tip I have, I guess, on being authentic is anytime you start a new relationship, or it doesn't even have to be with a person, it can be with a thing, it can, whatever. Just being super truthful and honest from the get-go can be changing.
Definitely can be life-changing when you approach everything that way, for sure. All right.
Well, authenticity is contagious. Let's spread it. I hope that we are spreading it with this podcast.
Yeah, I think we are. I think we are. I think that was a pretty good little discussion about it. So thanks so much for hanging out with us for a minute here.
Yeah.
And again, we invite you to join us every single week. We put a new podcast out every Monday morning, and you can find us on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcast. And
look out for our name change because it's coming. Probably not with this video, but coming very soon. Don't be afraid of change. It's here to help you grow.
Yep.
See you next Monday.